Hello and welcome. It's Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you would like to help support my channel by subscribing. Also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm coming to you from Ghana in the country, and as such I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of this land. So I've just finished recording my last discussion for the Magic and You series for this year. I would like to continue on with it next year. So in January, I do a call out for people who want to come on board. And it will be uploaded in a couple of weeks. I do have some more scheduled before them. And I found a really interesting discussion because it was with someone who sort of blends magic with mysticism, or what I would term sort of the spiritual, sort of esoteric nature that underpins it all, in my point of view. And it sort of gives it that sort of deeper foundation. So really interesting discussions had there. So I can't wait to share that with you. But I thought I'd jump on board because we're coming to that pointy end of the year. And in particular, Mercury has just stationed direct. I think at the time that I'm recording this, the 29th, it stations direct, which means if you've found over the last month that communications have just gone out the window, there's been miscommunications, issues around, because everything's online these days, the internet, emails, even moving into contracts, that sort of thing. Hopefully now, as Mercury begins to station direct, that fogginess, that confusion will start to dissipate. But what is going to be interesting of note is that Mercury's gone back into Scorpio. So it's going to be repeating or following the similar path. So it'll be crossing points that for the third time. So when it moved forward originally, then it retrograded back, and now it's moving forward again. So there's going to be points or aspects, areas in your life where it's asking you to really address, to move forward. And this is what happens when planets move into retrograde, and they don't move backwards really. But from our position on Earth, it looks like they're going backwards. But it gives us an opportunity to revisit, renew, reintegrate, rest, even reconsider various aspects, in particular in our life, where these planets and points sort of marry up in. But if you don't know, don't have your birth chart, you'll find out what house in particular, say Mercury is in. But then it's, or Scorpio actually, Scorpio and Sag. But then it's, you may be aware of things popping up in your life, thoughts appearing in your subconscious or conscious mind, bubbling way up into your conscious awareness, that is asking you to consider or redress or having another look at. You may even be questioning your boundaries, where you have been sort of expending your energy, your emotional energy, whether you have received that emotional energetic satisfaction back in return. Everything's a give and take, so cause and effect relationship. You may even be considering, say, an emotional sacrifice, especially in relation to success and abundance that our world seems to be so fixated on at the moment. What has that actually cost you in order to achieve your goals? And in order to achieve your goals by society standards or by your own standards of success, how does that actually feel internally? What do you have any sort of internal dilemmas happening? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Jupiter is in retrograde. We've had a lot of planets in retrograde recently. Jupiter is going to be in retrograde until March next year, 2026. It's in the astrological sign of Cancer. Cancer is all about the home, where we feel at home, our home, like the crab, that's its animal. It is like, where do we feel home? So I'm not just talking about a physical house. Where do you feel comfortable? And then it also brings in our sibling, our relationships with our siblings, and people that we identify as family. So it might not necessarily be your biological family. Jupiter is what they call the benefic planet. It's the great sort of abundance, expansion planet. So where it touches will emphasize things. So if you have, so it's said it's in Cancer. So even if you've got like family dramas or home life dramas, it's going to expand, highlight them, bring these things into your awareness in order for you to address, to consider, to sort of like take time out emotionally, look from it from an external point of view, and actually ascertain your own role in the dynamics that are happening around us. And I say that because we have a lot of spiritual bypassing, seems to be on the rise. Maybe it is always on the rise, but it's just really predominant in my awareness. We have a lot of that happening, where everybody's sort of seeking externally, especially with these big changes with the outer planets, moving signs. These are big shifts that often happen once in a generation due to the length of time that they take to move around the sun. So we have all the outer planets actually moving signs, or some of them have already moved signs. So there's a big shifts happening, which if we look outside the world, we can see what's happening out there. There's like the old order. It's beginning to crumble. People are rising up, sort of speaking their truth, or allegedly speaking their truth. But there is still this veil where not everything is what it seems. So again, it comes back to your own, what you call home. What is your sort of foundation, your boundary, upon which or from where you're actually looking out from. So it's almost saying, and this is my interpretation, get your house in order first, be secure in your place in the greater cosmic scheme of things, and then you will have a better gauge when you look out and attempt to navigate through all these changes. I won't even mention AI that we're moving into, where it's so hard to ascertain these days fact from fiction. It's going to get harder and harder. But also, so the key words are authenticity, and everybody sort of bandies that about, but it is like what we are seeing when we actually take the time to step back for a moment and wait for those veils to descend. We see that there are often, especially when things are very heated, there are often alterative motives. And I guess in all honesty, we all have alterative motives. We all have hidden agendas. We all do not necessarily disclose everything. We see things through our own sort of lens, our own focus. But there is also this push, and I'll say it's, yeah, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but people are getting involved and caught up in it without even realizing there's this push of polarity, but to the extent where you are polarized, you're either this way or that way, and there's nothing in between. And that is not the true sense of polarity if we're looking at it from a hermetic or magical or even a spiritual point of view. The polarities are like, these are the endpoints, but there's all this grey in between, and where you line up on there, you can shift up and down. As the danger happens is when you are just focused this way or that way, and there's nothing in between. So that's something to keep in mind too when you sort of see a lot of this online drama happening or discussions, and it's so easy to get caught up in them as well. But just for a while, just sort of take a breath and step back. We also have had Saturn stationing direct. I think that was the other day, 2 days ago, on the 27th. Now, Saturn it's basically the lawmaker. It's the great sort of like restrictor, because it's all about sort of boundaries, foundation, making you do the work, sort of like do the hard slog, but putting back in those sort of like walking or talk. So you're actually doing the work first. And so you may have seen, while it had been in retrograde, bringing up challenges or bringing to our awareness issues around our boundaries, questioning our own ability of, say, manifesting our dreams and bringing that idea into reality, from Ketho all the way through to Malkut, bring it into reality instead of just pie in the sky ideals. Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is, you know, the fish. It's the last sign of the zodiac or a zodiac wheel. So it's all about endings. It is a very watery sign. There is this element of illusions and dreams, and psychic abilities, but sort of getting caught up in that sort of fantasy realm, as opposed to bringing things into reality. So there is this sort of underpinning need for the realization that we do need structure. We don't need sort of like solid structure where we cannot go anywhere or adapt, but we do need, again, a foundation upon which we can build, whether it's our spiritual, religious, magical practice, but almost like drawing a line in the sand. I like using the analogy of when you build a house, you have to prepare the soil or the ground even before you lay your concrete foundation. And when you make your concrete, I get concrete and cement, but I think it's concrete. Even when you lay your foundation, you need to make your concrete, your cement, concrete, so it's made from cement, sand or gravel, water, and there is a recipe for making the proper solid foundation so it will last, as opposed to cracking. You have to let it set for a period of time. It has to be done in the right conditions, etc., etc. And this also can be used as an analogy for our own lives, our own spiritual practice, magical practice, etc. We need to have those foundations upon which we build our lives. Otherwise, what we're doing, if we're not doing the work, it's just really blatant spiritual bypassing, which, as I said, I'm seeing more and more happening these days. There's this delusionment, even a word, delusion, and all it's superficial stuff. People are just sort of like touching on the surface. They're not doing the deep dive. So Saturn is asking us, are we truly talking and walking our talk, or are we just merely caught up in the illusion? We also are coming up to the last full moon of the year. It's in the astrological sign of Gemini, which is the twins. Again, it's about the mind, sort of like with Mercury going stationing direct. Gemini is actually ruled by Mercury. So again, there's this emphasis on the mind, on knowledge. This full moon is also going to be a super moon, so it means it's close to the Earth and it's ecliptic. And this can sort of, if you're more sort of lunar orientated or aware, it can heighten your emotions. Could bring about higher tides. It also has the pull of the tectonic plates. It's also in esoteric numerology, we're in a 9-year, an ending year, 2025. Add the numbers up, come to 9. So there's a lot of closing out of things. And this is something that's been going on for a little while now. So it's really this big push. Even the last new moon, again, was a big push of realizing that you need to close out of things and move on, regardless of whether they have been completed or not. Sometimes you just got to let it go. It's almost like flogging a dead horse. It's not going to go anywhere. Either your objectives have changed or the time is just not right. Move on, let it go and change your direction. Or something else might have come to light that you didn't realize before. And it is like, okay, I've invested this time, effort, and energy into it. My situation has changed, or now the veils have dropped and I'm seeing that it's no longer in alignment with me. There's no point. I'm just going to have to mark it off and continue. And this is something that we've sort of seen here in Australia in the political realm, especially here in South Australia, they were bidding for I think it was the COP31 and next year or the year after. It was between South Australia and Turkey. And just recently they've decided, Australia's decided to let it go and give it to Takia because everybody's jumping up and down thinking of all the money that they have invested. But we don't know the full story. There's probably a lot of other things behind the scenes that have gone on. And sometimes if you're at a stalemate, one side has to eventually give way. And often we don't see that in this current climate that we are living in. So we've got planets stationing direct. We've got other planets sort of like moving signs. We're at the end of the astrological year. We're at the end of the calendar year. We've got a full moon coming up. It's a super full moon. It's at the end of the lunar cycle. Again, lots of endings. And even if you're a bit like me and your year doesn't actually start and end at the calendar year, I follow the wheel of the year. Mine starts at midwinter, contrary to what some people like to portray, like Samhain. I don't understand that, but each to their own. Mine starts at midwinter. It's still tapping into the energetics of everyone else around us. There is still this ending. There's still an opportunity to sort of tap into those energies of surrender, of release, and I feel that I'm beginning to repeat myself because this is all what we do. We were more in line with nature, our true sort of like guiding star, because we are energetic beings in nature. We are of nature. It's learning that ebb and flow. And the universe is really giving us those opportunities to release in order to bring through the new, especially as I said, the stuff that has not been working, that's no longer in alignment with us. Have a big breath, let go as you exhale, and then sit in that pregnant pause and allow the new, which really, if you do even work with the moons, you've planted at the new moon, allow that to have the space to start to manifest in whatever way, shape, or form it wishes to. So I will be uploading a full moon video in the next few days because the full moon here in Adelaide is on Thursday, I think, or Friday. It's a day after what appears in America. Yes, it's on the 4th. So it'll be on Thursday, and we'll be doing our full moon right on the Wednesday. Okay, we'll see on the evening before, but I'll do more. We'll talk more about that in the next video. So yeah, just have a think as to what Mercury has sort of been bringing into your conscious awareness during this month, because it's going to be hitting those points again. And take care. Blessings.